Hello everyone, Voodoo here, and today I'm here with some pretty early 10.1 Havoc Demon Hunter single target BIS sims. That was a mouthful, but in this video we'll be going over those sims. We have some sims looking at trinkets and stuff, looking at our top gear, looking at some talents and things. Give you guys a bit of a picture right now of what Havoc's going to look like going into next tier. Now I do want to say a few things before we jump into those. Firstly, I did not do these sims myself. Shout out to Bees, Shadirect, TXT, Ravatha, and any other names I'm forgetting from the Demon Hunter Discord, the Havoc section specifically. They're a big help. They did a lot of the work here, so all credit goes to them. Shout out to them. I'm just kind of reporting it and showing it to you guys. Second, these are BIS sims. A lot of sims, for some reason, on other specs are not BIS sims. They have random heroic gear. They have random normal gear. These are sims in our top eye level, top items, top everything. So this is like a sim at the end of the tier whenever you have everything you ever need. This is not like a random sim with a bunch of random gear, which you'll see for some reason on a bunch of different sims. So just keep that in mind, because the number will look a little higher than a lot of other people's classes sims. But all in all, Havoc, probably still won't be the best in single target next tier. It could be okay because of like random procs and stuff. Not because of our class, but we'll find out. And finally, if you like the video, hit the like button, drop a comment down below, and hit the sub button as well for more content. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Alright, so there are two sims we're going to look at today. This is the one done by the people in the Havoc Discord, and kind of where everything is based off of. I believe Bees built the profile, and then this sim specifically I know I got from Shad. There's tons of people who helped with this, TXT as well, Rev, few other people, not mentioning you, apologies, but everybody, shout out to everybody who helped. So this is a single target sim for our BIS setup, throwing out 124k DPS. Now again, this number shouldn't really look at it too much. A lot of other sims right now aren't being done as BIS. From the ones I've seen, I know the Hunter sims that specifically are in like heroic gear. It's like 437, which is not good. Like this is all 447, so it's weird right now, but whatever. So this is looking at our single target thing, and if you notice our talents, nothing changes, so that's wonderful, beautiful, and amazing. There are no changes to our talents here, which is great. If we scroll down here, there are some interesting things taking shape in our gear, and this is kind of the interesting thing I want to talk about. There's a few things here. One, Lariat's still good, obviously. But two, we've actually changed our second embellishment. So it is now Roiling Shadow Flame. And I'll talk about this a bit after. So it is an on-equip that dealing damage has a chance to rouse the Shadow Flame, inflicting 7,335 Shadow Flame damage to your target and 480 Shadow Flame damage to yourself. Whenever you do this, you gain a stack of Roused Shadow Flame. Roused Shadow Flame, increasing this effect's damage by 20% each stack up to 5 times. Then on max stacks, it subsides. So it's a cyclical thing, where every time it procs, it deals 7,000 damage and then a little bit of damage to you. And we do reduce the damage with our magic defensiveness, so it is 20% less to us. And then on top of that, every time it happens, the next one does 20% more. And then after you get the 100% increased one, it goes back down to 0. So it's a bit of a cyclical thing. It's performing really, really well. I'll have a sim afterwards, a quick sim, just kind of showing the damage breakdown, but it's pretty high up there. Voice Silent Star, really good cloak for us. Very, very powerful. And then over here, there's some other interesting stuff. So, rings. You'll notice one right away. The Seal of Diurna's Chosen is in our BIS ring setup. I expect this to be nerfed. Should it be nerfed, there are a few other kind of high crit rings from Min Plus that I think we'll want, which I do think will be good. There's a 450 ring from Raid, but it's like heavy verse, so I don't think we'll want it. But I do expect this will be changed. I hope so. Anyways, I only have a 408. I have not been lucky with a 421 drop. So while this is here right now, I wouldn't expect this to carry on. I would expect this to be nerfed and not end up being BIS for another season, hopefully. But stranger things have happened with like Razor Coral and the thing from Azshara and EP being really good in Nyalotha. So we'll see what happens with this. Might stick around, might not, but be prepared for that. Our other ring, very good. Really high crit, really good haste too. Haste actually, very strong. See all these gems here? They're now haste minor gems. So haste actually gains value for us. Few reasons for that. Primarily, our tier set does like us having a little bit more haste. The tier set's effect, by the way, every 175 Fury you spend, you gain Seething Fury, which is 8% agility for 6 seconds. And the force set is every time you gain that stack, you gain 15 Fury. The damage of your next I-Beam is increased by 15% up to 5 times. So that kind of benefits haste a little bit more. It cycle through more of the stacks, get more uptime of the buff, and whatever. And then also Bile Stain Krog Tusks, these are hasted as well. So these are a really good weapon on single target. Once you get to 2 target and above, then Krog Tusks start to lose out a bit, just in terms of raw damage. But your attacks have a chance to poison the enemy for 10,000 nature damage over 9 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. These Tusks are very strong. They don't have any stats. When you go into those larger pulls, in M+, for instance, these weapons will probably be swapped out for something with crit, something with mastery, maybe a little bit of haste in there. But in raid, since the raid is so single target, you're going to want these in every single boss, basically. Probably even on the AOE boss, just for killing, the actual boss at the end of the fight, which I'll do a video on that soon. So these are really good. They're also hasted. This is hasted, I'm pretty sure. Ring kind of gets benefit from haste. So we have a lot of things now that proc off of haste, which are, good for us. So haste does gain some value. In terms of trinkets, the best ones with the bomb nerf and the scale nerf, and you can see on here all like the good ones. The current gear setup, by the way, is Elementium, Pocket Anvil, and Beacon of the Beyond. So that is where this is here. But our Abyss setup is going to be Elementium, Pocket Anvil. This drops from the Amalgamation Chamber boss, I'm pretty sure. It's pretty good. So you sharpen your weapon with Elementium on equip, which gives your melee damage dealer specialization's main class ability, Chaos Strike, a chance to deal 50,000 additional Shadow Flame on hit, and then every 1 minute you can use it and you kind of hit your weapon against it. You deal a little bit of AOE Shadow Flame around you, then you increase the on-hit damage by 20%, and that goes until you leave combat. So after like 5 minutes, you will get a 100% increase on this on-hit damage, so it'll deal like 112,000 instead of 50,000, which is a big difference, big increase. So in any long fight, any progression fight, this will be pretty good for you. And then on top of that, Igneous Flowstone. And you're probably wondering, hey, I don't see this trinket as Havoc in the raid journal. That's because it is a caster/ranged trinket, but this is going to be our best trinket by far. It drops from the Magmarax boss, the big old lava hydra. It is an equip, go with the flow, steadily rising towards high tide or falling towards low tide every 30 seconds. At low tide, your next harmful spell or ranged ability grants you 2,697 crit for 12 seconds. That's very good. At high tide, your next harmful spell or ranged ability launches a wave to crash upon your target, dealing 115,000 volcanic, split between all nearby enemies. So this is very strong. This is a bit like a Skullvold trinket, where it can't actually drop for our spec, but because all of our abilities essentially are treated as ranged abilities, I-Beam, Immolation, Aura, Sigil Flame, etc., then it's very, very good for us. We're very spell-based, or very ranged ability-based, even melee. So this trinket procs fairly often. Basically every 30 seconds, we're going to get the benefit. Low tide is a ton of crit, which is very good for us. 3,000 crit is a lot. It's like way more than even the Dragon Scale, which I can't even find here. Dragon Scale, by the way, not that good. Crit rating is very low. And then it also gives you that extra, like, on-hit 115,000 volcanic. So this trinket's going to be very good if you can get it to drop for you. I think it'll be very good for tons of other range specs as well, though. Unsure how loot rolling will work on off-spec items, so just kind of communicate with your raid lead about when this drops. We can't get this in the vault, so you will have to loot this naturally from raid. There is no way to vault it, which is unfortunate. But it is what it is. We don't really have a way of opening as a range spec because Havoc only has tank or melee. Sorry, Demon Hunter only has tank or melee. So there's no way to open this from the vault. But it's very good if you can get your hands on it. Should you be unable to get your hands on Igneous Flowstone, then your next best options are going to be either Dragonfire Bomb Dispenser. Very good. I've covered this in another video. It has been nerfed a little bit since then. Still very strong. Or the Havoc-specific class call thing, which is a very rare trinket. It has a crit on equip. And then your area effect spells and abilities, which are most of our spells and abilities. I have a chance to give you 2,600 primary stat and then also increase the damage you take by 5% for 18 seconds. So both of those are very good alternatives. Outside of that, you know, it drops off pretty fast. You can see here plus 2,000, then going down into, I'll that again, going down into like plus 900. So there's not a ton of other options after that. Should you not raid, your best options for trinkets are probably going to be Homeland Raid Horn, which does honestly suck to use. You want to use it after VR to get the crit, but then you kind of miss out on little puddles as they fall from the sky. So whatever there. And then Harlan's Loaded Dice, which is decent enough, giving you the Mastery, Haste, and crit combinations. But overall, you're going to want your raid trinkets. Elemental Pocket Anvil and Igneous Flowstone are just very, very powerful. Okay, so I've taken that sim you just saw with our Abyss trinkets and gone in and done a bit of a quick sim just to show you guys kind of the damage breakdown of what to expect from Havoc whenever you get all of your gear. So very interesting breakdown here. You'll notice that out of our top 7 abilities, 3 of them are from trinkets or borrowed power or things, and not actually from our class. So that's fun. So Annihilation is on top. Death Sweep has dropped a bit because of our tier set loss, right? Death Sweep damage is being less, crit damage is less, so you're getting less bigger kind of chunks off of one big hit there in Essence Break. We also have a little bit more haste, so Annihilation will do a little bit more damage. And then I-Beam damage is also gained, 9% of our damage here, which is pretty good. You know, I-Beam doing damage, love to see it. Now, Echoed Flare, this is our trinket, the Anvil trinket. Now, the one you'll care about is Echoed Flare, which is the whenever your Chaos Strike hits again. Anvil Strike is the on-use, hits 5 times, did 102,000 damage. That's not good, 0.3% of your total, which is kind of funny. It does so little. I guess it's uncapped, which is funny. But Echoed Flare itself just does a lot of damage and is really, really strong, honestly. 8% of your damage, kind of crazy, so you definitely want to pick this up as soon as you can. Then we got melees. Bile is the Krog Tusks, so those are doing a good bit too, about as much as your melee is. 78% uptime, which is good. These do scale off haste, and we do actually want some haste now with some of the gear we have. Coming down, Lava Wave. Now, this is the other trinket we have. It itself is doing about 4%, plus the, I think it's down here. Yeah, here. So we have an 18.4% uptime of the, like, 3,000 crit, which is pretty good. Large amount of crit on a pretty decent uptime, and it's fairly controllable. You'll know it'll happen every, like, 30 seconds to a minute or so. So that's pretty good. You can see there's the Ebb Tide and Flood Tide here. Those are the stacks. So that accounts for a good bit of your damage. And then coming down, the last thing you might not recognize is Roiling Shadow Flame. This is the ability from our embellishment, the thing I talked about, the Shadow Flame patch, where you deal damage and have it stack up. That's accounting for almost a million DPS, million damage as well. Brood Creeper's Blaze, honestly, don't expect this one to stick around, but it's still doing 2% of our damage. It's still there. And you got a little bit falling off on the end here. So a lot of Havoc's breakdown is actually looking to be trinkets and weapons and stuff, not actually our abilities. Makes sense. This is in single target. I wasn't actually able to get any kind of Dungeon Slice sim set up or working, but I'm pretty sure the trinkets won't change too much. You might end up using like the Spear Fragment trinket in M+. It might be a bit weird because it is for ranged, the min range on it, so we'll see on that. But overall, you'll probably end up using these trinkets still. You could also see Beacon of the Beyond. That's very good. So there's a few options there. We're going to hop over to the PTR now. I want to talk a little bit about the new trinkets since I haven't done a video on them, and we'll end it off. So while I was editing this video, we actually had another sim drop from Ravatha in the Discord. This is the AOE sim. So here we go. We'll do this one at the end instead. Few things. So one thing that does change is we're going to always just want to play Blind Fury in a left-right build because of our tier set. The Fury generation it gives you lets you drop Burning Hatred and still be very consistent with your Blind Fury. So that's good. Scrolling down, few things you'll notice. We've had some rings change out. Now, I'm unsure about what Rev is simming. I don't know if he has 421 ring in here. But it is interesting to notice that Band of the Worm Matron with crit and verse, and then Scalebane Signet with crit and mastery are doing very well. I will say this is a 5-minute 7 boss target sim, so it's a little weird. So that's probably what to do with some of the weird like verse stuff. And even then, having a critical strike and mastery, it still does very well. But keeping that in mind, not so much other things have changed. Rolling Shadow Flame is still good. Elemental Lariat is still amazing. But our trinkets, Igneous Flowstone, still very, very good. This is probably going to be the that you want in AOE. And then Netherian's Call to Chaos. This is our class trinket. Now, I will say this trinket does sim well. However, it's very inconsistent on its procs, which might make it a bit of a sim trap. So the thing with this is that you get a ton of agility whenever it procs, which is true, and agility is great. But should it proc at poor time? Should it not proc when you need it? You won't really get the effect, right? So it'll be very inconsistent. Personally, I think that using Beacon of the Beyond instead is a bit more consistent. It's roughly 3k less than the Abyss. These are all within margin of error as well. So we'll actually do it from this one. So it's roughly 2k less than the Abyss, but is much more consistent because you can just use this trinket whenever you need it. So keep that in mind. Although Call to Chaos does sim well, it can be a bit of a trap. So we'll see whenever we actually launch and do some testing and stuff, if this ends up being what you want to run, or if you want to end up running Beacon of the Beyond. Outside of that, there isn't really a lot of options. I know I mentioned the Spear Fragment and stuff, but that was not simmed in this quick little sim here. This is a little bit of an idea of the 3 best trinkets right now for M+. So this is just a little bit of an idea over the 3 best trinkets so far for Havoc and Mythic Plus. They're looking pretty good still. You know, the Netherian's Call to Chaos, Igneous Glowstone, and the other one are all good trinkets, so you won't go wrong with any combination of the 3. That's just a little bit of an outlook of how Havoc is doing on those M+ sims. So that is going to be it for me today. We covered the sims, we had a little quick sim, looked at all the trinkets, and then talked about some of the things that I didn't cover beforehand that might end up being pretty good. Again, I don't think Havoc's going to be in the greatest spot for the next raid. I think it'll be great, and M+ will be very good there. Nothing's changing. But in raid, it will be a little bit worse, a little bit disappointing, so to speak. But I am still excited for the new season. So if you're excited too, I will have tons of content. Probably branch out a bit from Havoc as well, but still tons of Havoc content. Hit the sub button. Make sure you stay up to date with everything I'm doing. Discord in the description as well. I stream. If you want to support me, become a channel member as well. I do want to say one final thing, though, of note. For the Igneous Flow trinket, it's your ranged spells have a chance to proc it. So generally, we're going to proc it because a lot of our abilities count. I-Beam will almost always proc it because I'm pretty sure each tick kind of counts as an instance. But it is not 100% chance whenever you use an ability. So if, you know, Immolation or a Sigil Flame doesn't auto-proc it, keep that in mind. But that's kind of the current state of how Havoc's looking. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comment. Again, shout out to the guys in the Demon Hunter Discord. Tons of help. They're great people. Really, really big benefit for the class. And I will see you guys next week with the next video. Have a good weekend. Peace.